Absolutely. Now, while we're speaking about the economy, on Tuesday, we saw the rand falling to its weakest point in 13 years. And in addition to that, it was among the 5 weakest performers in a basket of 25 emerging market economies. Now, why are we experiencing this? To the person on the ground who looks at the rand falling and thinks, why is this happening? Could you possibly try explain it to us? I know it's a complicated thing.
Well, it is complicated and it's not. Rand depreciation has got 2 sides to it, the global side and the local side. The global side has to do with the fact that the dollar is strengthening, and therefore all other currencies, including euro, including Mexican currency, Brazilian currency, Russian currency, all of them respond because it's a relative value. So the fact that the American economy's growth is now a lot more reliable, a lot more robust than people thought before, it is pretty sure that soon the Central Bank of the United States, the Federal Reserve Bank, is going to raise interest rates. Remember, for 8 years they've been at 0 and below 0 interest rates. When interest rates in the United States increases, it means capital will flow to the United States out of everywhere else, including South Africa. And that means the value of these currencies, including ours, will be declining. So that's the international side of it. The domestic side of it, and the reason some currencies suffer more than others, has to do with the robustness of their economic growth. The South African growth has been declining continuously, investment has been declining, and we just discussed one of the key factors being lack of energy. And not only we haven't got energy certainty at the moment, but we haven't got an energy policy that will give us certainty in the next 5, 6, 7 years. Therefore, economic growth, which is the underpinning of any currency, including our currency, in South Africa at the moment, is doubtful. And the more the growth suffers, remember we came from 4% to 3% to 2-something%, and this year we're now 1-something%. And when that happens, that is reflected in the value of the currency.
So what do you say to the South African who is looking at Eskom coupled with what you've just spoken to us about and is concerned about where to invest their money? Of course, most South Africans aren't economists, and we don't have all of this insight. So what do you advise the South African watching this video who wants to know, in light of these circumstances, what do I do with my investments?
It's a very difficult time for investments, not only in South Africa, but also globally, but for South Africa particularly. Because remember, over the past 10 years, we've been used to what was called the super cycle of growth, which meant pretty much whatever you invested in was growing. And because the global economy is buoyant and growing, our own economy went as high as 5.5% growth. Therefore, you didn't have to be a genius to make money. Now it's a very different story. The super cycle of growth has turned into a down cycle of growth. It's going to last for at least 7-8 years. Therefore, unlike in the past that everywhere was growing and you were pretty sure, these days growth is very patchy, very uneven. The United States growing nicely, UK okay, Singapore is growing okay, South Korea is growing okay, but a whole lot of other countries are not. India has just begun, but India is very unstable from a growth point of view. Its track record is not established. Chinese growth is very buoyant, but it's on the decline. So if you're an investor, you can't bet that wherever you invest will grow. You have to be very, very careful. That also means that average investors need to be carefully structuring their investments not to pay high, what is called active management fees. And that's one of the technical issues that in South Africa we have to deal with. I personally am in favor of what is called passive investment, exchange traded funds. I invested for myself, for my family, and I believe that in downsides of the business cycle, exchange traded funds are much safer. However, you need to choose, you need to be careful, and with that provision, that's my advice. Go for a fair dose of exchange traded funds in your portfolio.